put a little love in your heart. It is August in Westmont, and it's hot outside. And while some of us may not like the heat at all, while others may love the heat, while the heat is the topic of many conversations, and while our theme this month is the heat is on, the heat outside is actually not where our focus will be today. We have air conditioning, so the heat doesn't bother us, right?
Right.
Right.
So just a nod to the hot weather. I have a little story. I've told this story before, but it fits in here too. So one August, an Oregon man left the cool, rainy environment of Portland for a Wednesday to Friday business trip. His wife was going to join him on Friday evening and stay through the weekend, since they could get such a fantastic deal on the hotel rate. When he arrived, he had just a few moments before his first meeting began, so he decided to send his wife a quick email to let her know that he arrived safe and sound. But in his haste, he made an error in who he sent his email to, so the email address the note went instead to an elderly preacher's wife whose husband had just made his transition the day before. You know where I'm going. Yeah. When the grieving widow checked her email, she took another look. She took one look at the monitor and let out a piercing scream and dropped to the ground in a complete faint. At that sound, her family came rushing in to the room and saw the note on the screen that said, "Dearest wife, the trip went well, and I eagerly await your arrival in a few days. Your loving husband. P.S. It is hot down here." That's always a good one. I like that.
That's a drummer when you need one.
Okay, so no more about the heat outside. Rather, we're going to focus on the heat that goes with some of the concepts we've been dealing with. We've been doing this for 4 weeks now, and because we've made a conscious decision to answer the divine invitation in getting dressed for dancing. So if you've been with us for the last 4 weeks, you know that we've been talking about dancing and the divine invitation to express our gifts or not. And if you haven't seen them, go online, YouTube my name, and there's over 500 videos up there. But we have the last 4, so you can see them. During this month, we're going to the rest, because Martha Creek will be speaking at the end of the month, but for the next 2 talks, we will be deepening into some of the ideas where we explore the blueprinting, the bridging, and the building that life is our answer to the divine invitation. Whether we choose it or not is up to us, but today we're going to really be talking about blueprinting the life of and living the divinely appointed dreams of our lives, even when they feel like they're covered up. They're not really. They just feel that way. So today, we blueprint. Next week, we bridge. So oftentimes when asked to describe what we want, we immediately go into describing what we do not want. Sometimes we do that. For some reason, that seems easier for us. And while contrasting what it is with what it isn't is an important distinction for us, because we have to know what we don't want in order to know what we want. Eventually, we must be able to say what the answer is to our divine invitation, what it looks like, and to claim it to be ours. And so for today, we're going to clarify and claim our blueprint for our lives. We talked about blueprinting last week, and as I said then, it means just what it sounds like. Just as an architect discovers what what a building design looks like. He can see it before he puts it on the paper and then creates it from that blueprint. But first he's got to have the vision. He's got to have the vision of what it looks like. And so if we dive below the surface of the concept, we find that there are really three aspects to blueprinting. That the life that is our answer to the divine invitation, and we're going to explore what those three aspects of blueprinting are today. They're discovering, designing, and deserving. And so this is how we blueprint. So let's look at each one of them then. We discover the dream, which is the beginning of it all. Before an architect, as I said, can draft the blueprints, he or she first has to discover what the vision is for the building, what the vision is. And as I said last week, we receive a divine invitation to awaken to that dream, which is the urge of spirit pressing from within. And to be more fully expansive, that pushing is coming through either our longing or through our discontent, which are both are fine, because there's an urge, that divine urge of spirit moving through us, pulling us into a greater vision of something in our life. Sometimes we're not clear yet. So the longing part is the deep, heartfelt desire for a freer, fuller, more expansive expression of life than we are currently having. So you might be feeling that. Or discontent, which we call, or like to call, divine discontent, because it can be a good thing. It lets us know, because it's an unsettled feeling from within that something isn't complete. So we're discontented. And these are two signals. So this is good stuff. These are two signals indicating that we are not currently living the life that is ours to live, that we were really meant to live. And so we begin to discover the dream by asking, what would answer my longing and dissolve my discontent? What would answer my longing and dissolve my discontent? What would I love to be, to do, and to have? What would give me life? So if we have been brought up in a certain culture or a religious tradition, those questions might not sound right coming from, especially from the pulpit. It might not seem right, but what I would love to, especially the question, what would I love to be, to do, and to have? And it could be considered in some places blasphemous, right? I mean, did you grow up in a church where that was not asked from the pulpit?
Yeah.
Really not. So let's just take a breath and breathe through any kind of feelings then, because we're going to move into a much more open spirituality. A way where we can claim our good and lay our vision at as the blueprint for our lives. Now you've made a space through the breath for a more expanded way of living life. So that when the answer comes through, the clarification sometimes comes through. If you don't know what the vision is, you have some space. You're giving God a greater outlet here on earth. You know that the divine is expressing through us. And when we close off to it, it can't express itself fully. So that joy that's in our heart that gets covered up, and the longing that's in our soul for something greater sometimes gets pushed aside. Well, this morning we're going to open up a little more and take the breath and let it breathe in. Genevieve Barron, who we are now studying her book in Prosperity Plus class, really great. She was the only student of Thomas Troward, who was a major influence on Ernest Holmes. We're actually just finished reading Thomas Troward in the Ruth class. It's amazing how these two classes synced together so perfectly for us to get it. Well, she wrote a book, Your Invisible Power. She was the only student that Thomas Troward ever had. So this is from her book. She writes, as you grow in understanding as to who you are and where you come from, what the purpose of your being is, and how you are to fulfill the purpose for which you are intended, you will become a more and more perfect center through which the creative spirit of life can enjoy itself. And I love that last concept. I really do. You will become a more and more perfect center through which the creative spirit of life can enjoy itself. And if the creative spirit of life is enjoying itself, so are you. When we're in alignment with our happiness, with joy, with peace, just being in a state of peace, then we feel so much better. We're in alignment with the peace of our divine self. And if you don't fulfill the purpose for which you were intended, you don't answer the divine invitation. You just let it lay there. And the opposite will occur. So listen to this story. I have a story from the Sufi tradition, and it's really a nice story. A poet went to see a doctor because he was quite ill, emotionally and physically. The poet said, "Doctor, I have all kinds of symptoms. I'm unhappy and uncomfortable, and my arms, my legs, my back, my hair are all feeling as if they were being tortured." The doctor answered, "Is it not true that you have not yet given out your latest poetic composition?" "That is true," said the poet, "but I fail to see what that has to do with my illness." "Nevertheless, the physician," said the physician, "be good enough to recite it to me now." And he did so. And at the doctor's orders, he recited it again and again, and then one more time. After the third recital, the doctor said, "Stand up. You are now cured. You had bottled up inside. What you had bottled up inside affected your life. Now that it's released, you are well again." And the man stood up, and he was healed. Now, Jesus said the same thing over and over again. He did these kinds of healings over and over again, the great master teacher. And he said it in a different way, and according to the Gospel of Thomas, which is a gospel not contained in the book of the Bible, but rather in the collection of preserved writings found in Egypt in 1945. And these were sacred, lost, or unknown Christian sacred writings, often described as Gnostic. Notably included among the texts was an edition of the Gospel of St. Thomas, which is a compilation of what Jesus said, not what was said about him. That's what makes them so powerful. And he said, "If you bring forth that which is within you, it will save you. If you do not bring it forth, it will destroy you." Couldn't be any clearer than that. Couldn't be any clearer than that. Our blueprinting begins when we deeply listen to the divine invitation to discover what to bring forth so that spirit might be expressed here on earth, individualized as each and every one of us, expressing our God selves. So what is it for you, my friends? What makes you come alive? Fills you with excitement or a sense of purpose or peace? It doesn't have to be. Sometimes we get in our own way and think it's got to be this huge, incredible purpose. And it doesn't. What is in your heart in this moment, that's big enough. That's big enough. So let me tell you right here and right now that whatever comes up for you is the right and perfect thing for right now. And have you ever noticed that when you have a vision for something, or you want something to take place in your life, it starts with something possibly small. So it's a small step. And so you take that step if you answer the invitation, and it leads to something else, to something else, to something else, until you have this, you look back and you say, wow, I accomplished all of that, and it started with one small step. That's the whole point of this blueprinting for our vision. We don't have to, we can, but we don't have to think of the whole entire big, huge vision, because a lot of times that'll keep us stuck. It'll intimidate us. So now we'll move into designing your dream. Okay, so you're blueprinting it with your vision. You start with your vision, and then we move into designing our dream. Once we discover what makes us come alive, it might just be, I want to be the kindest person I can possibly be. That could be your vision. Okay, so don't rule out anything. So once we discover what makes us feel alive, it's time to begin to design the dream. And this is your vision that I mentioned each and every Sunday. We've been talking about this in the last 4 talks. And it's the picture of the life you are living after you have answered the divine invitation. I know we did an exercise in our class, Prosperity Plus, last week, where we had everybody write down their vision and then what could hold them back, and we got rid of what could hold them back. And then we had everybody stand up in dyads, twos, and run into a person that they haven't seen in 3 years and act as if the vision already had taken place. And they turned around and, wow, hi, how are you? That whole thing goes on. Well, you can't believe what happened to me. And it goes on like, but that's the vibration that we create from. The law, the universal law, the unformed substance doesn't know the difference between what we call reality and our imagination. It is impressed upon by both. So imagine your vision. Just imagine it from that vibration of like it's already taken place. In religious science, we call that mental equivalent. That's what it is. It's written down in word pictures with feeling and emotions. And oftentimes, we then create vision boards. I know we've done that here quite a bit. We create vision boards to see the visual of what it is that's in our heart to create. So here's a question I've been asked before. Which is more effective? To write your vision down and then not to look at it again? Not to read it again, just to put it away? Writing it down, forgetting about it? That all got great press in The Secret, if you remember that movie, where John Azareth pulls out that old vision board, and the house that he just moved into was a house that he had written the whole description about years before. So that's one way of doing it. And the other way, Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, great book, we got to order it for the book table, Jeannie. Think and Grow Rich. He says to, which I like and I do, to read or imagine your vision every morning and every night, and in between if you like, but at least twice a day, so you keep it fresh, in case, because we wander off. Our minds, our thoughts wander off our vision. So what we want to develop then is a consciousness of the full acceptance of our vision, accepting it, however that works for us. But it is really very, very helpful in developing that consciousness, I believe, to read your vision, to imagine your vision every morning and every day. And like I said, in between too. Because that's what the unformed substance is responding to. And if we realize that we are feeling bad because that which we desire is not here yet, which we do, well, that's when the real work begins. That's when it's time to do the work. That's when we get to move into the realization that what is in us is greater than any frustration or any disappointment. We're going to move into that place where we really know and connect that with that indwelling soul self, the essence of who we are, the eternal part of who we are, the true self of who we are, is so much bigger than any condition or problem that we are going through. Because remember, the problems and conditions will always pass. But the truth of who we are remains. So that's when we get to consciously and deliberately step up and realize how big our God really is. And how ready the universal substance is to pour into our experience. That which brings us joy, which brings us greater love, greater peace, and greater abundance. That is when we get to read and study more. When we're going through those dark nights of the souls. If we can't do that, pick up the phone and call one of the practitioners. And right now, the practitioner interns and get a session. That's for sure. And just being in the classes, you have this meaningful discussion with like-minded people. It's uplifting. If I'm feeling down or not, like yesterday, I was not feeling so really up. I have no idea why, I just was feeling, I do, but I'm not going to share it. But I, we always know if we look deep enough. But I knew I was going to be with a whole bunch of like-minded people that evening. And the minute I got there, and everything, all those conditions that were in my head, by the way, all of that stuff was gone. I left feeling great. Why? Because I was around people that reminded me of the divinity that's within me, and it's within all of us. So it's really important to be in community with like-minded people, because they remind us when we forget. So by daily review, we also get to test drive our design, so to speak, and make sure it fits, so that we can revise and refine it. And that's a powerful place to be. And that place begins to bring our vision into manifestation. Just by clearing away the stuff that doesn't serve us. It's coming up, that's when we do our work. And we finally get to the third stage. Importance. They're all important. Designing. Deserving. We must really believe that we deserve the dream. We have our dream. Do we really believe we deserve it? Once again, from Invisible Power by Genevieve Benren. The power that brought us into existence did so for the purpose of expressing its limitless supply through us. There is no power on earth which could cut us off from our source except our own consciousness. That's it. And she writes on page 29, before you can entertain the idea of making a mental picture of your desire as being at all practical, you must have some idea that your being, of your I amness. I amness, no sacred words ever spoken. So I want to switch topics a little bit for a moment. So how many of you have virus protectors on your computer? Most of us? Right. Today, would you be willing to install a virus protector in your mind so that you can claim your vision as your own? Yeah, let's install that. And keep in mind that feeling not good enough or undeserving is a virus. It's not the truth of your being, it's a virus. So let's install a virus protector right now. So place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. I deserve to manifest the life of my dreams.
I deserve to manifest the life of my dreams.
I deserve to experience joy, love, peace, and prosperity.
I deserve to experience joy, love, peace, and prosperity.
And I deserve it to simply because I am.
And I deserve to simply because I am.
That's right.
Amen.
And from Your Invisible Power by Janine, again, your personal advance and evolution depends upon your right use of the power of visualizing, and your use of it depends on whether you recognize that you yourself are a particular center through and in which the originating spirit is finding ever new expression for potentialities already existing within itself. This is evolution, she says. And last week I gave you a spiritual practice to do. Does anybody remember it? When you woke up in the morning? Anyone? Anybody here that heard it and paid attention?
To be grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Addie takes notes. So there's actually a gratitude. So there's actually a second part to that exercise, and it's going to be our advanced virus protector. So here it is. After you identify something to be grateful for, think of something you did that you are proud of. That feeling that you really did something great and you pat yourself on the back like you really feel good. So you wake up in the morning and you're grateful that you had a wonderful night's sleep, that your bed was comfortable, whatever it is you're grateful for. And then think about something good that you did. And so bring that into your practice. And so by blueprinting, it's all about starting the day with the right vibration, by the way. So by blueprinting, this little synopsis, we discover what we would love to do, be, or have by uncovering what will bring us life. And we blueprint by designing that life in words and pictures. And finally, we blueprint by realizing that we deserve, absolutely, completely, totally deserve this life because of who and whose we are. We are divine expressions. We have to just keep reminding ourselves over and over and over again. We've been programmed to think a certain way, and we are reprogramming our conscious minds and, most importantly, our subconscious minds over and over again until we get it. And that might, I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm still working on it. And it's better than the alternative of not doing anything and just living with it. So before Genevieve Behrend studied with Troward, she studied his writings in great depth. And there was one passage from the Dory Lectures that she endeavored with all her soul to enter into the spirit of his words. So I want to end this talk this morning with the spirit of Troward's words, as well as making them our closing prayer. So you can close your eyes if you like, or you can leave them open. Here are the words by Thomas Troward. My mind is a center of divine operation. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. And this means the production of something beyond what has gone before. Something entirely new, not included in past experience. Though proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence of growth. Therefore, since the divine cannot change its inherent nature, it must operate in the same manner with me. Consequently, in my own special world, of which I am the center, it will move forward to produce new conditions, always in advance of any that have gone before. And that is from Thomas Troward. And so I'm inviting you to get that vision, design your vision, and then just know that you are so deserving of the vision that you hold in your heart. That's all it is.
Oh, very good.